Hi and welcome to another edition of Mailbag. Okay, this is Mailbag, common feature of the channel. It's where I attempt to answer questions that you guys have left on the channel, or if I can't answer them, I have a good go at answering them, or I throw them out to the wider Tubing community to try and answer on behalf of somebody who's raised the question. Now, we'll get into this mailbag. Remember, like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Go over to Instagram and follow me there. Go over to Facebook, follow me there. That's where the normal notices are. And consider becoming a Patreon. Next question comes from Leon Vela, and this was in response to, it's on the other page, how to install the Roland System-1 drivers on your Mac, a video I did in January 2020. And Leon writes, hey, I installed the driver. The way you explained in the video, Logic finds the System-1 as an audio input-output, but can't seem to find it in my instruments nor in my MacBook Finder service. I redid the whole process, but can you still find it? But can't seem to find a solution. I can't seem to read the words. Thank you very much in advance for this reply. Great video. Well, thank you. First of all, thank you very much for the feedback on the video. These type of issues are damn hard to diagnose. But here's kind of my logical sequence to how I would go about diagnosing this. First one, numpty question. You installed the correct version of the driver for your Mac OS. Is it the latest version? That sounds daft, but seriously, there were subtle changes between various versions of Mac OS that could actually kill the driver in its tracks. Second, when the System-1 is connected to the computer, if you go to Launchpad, other MIDI audio setup, are you seeing the System-1 as a device? And is it showing up as grayed out? At least that would tell you the Mac has recognized the device. So if you're not seeing it in that particular area, then your Mac is not recognizing it. Third, when you installed the driver, did you get a security prompt? Now, in 12, 13, 14, 15, and probably into Big Sur, they've changed the security mechanism. And when you install a driver that is not recognized by Apple as an Apple driver, the security system on the Mac will block it by default. And you need to go to tell this security system to not block drivers from Roland. All right? And if you don't do that within 30 minutes, you've got to uninstall the whole lot and start again. Okay, that's really, really, a lot of people get, oh, I've told it, or I can't find it. And that's because you haven't done it within 30 minutes. So you have to do it within 30 minutes. When you uninstalled the driver, did you restart the Mac? Another really important problem, because you need to reset some of the tables. It sounds daft, but honestly, it does work. Is the System-1 on the latest version of the firmware? If not, you might need to connect it to a Windows machine and do a firmware update. And again, that sounds a damn daft thing to do, but there are subtle differences. But I do apologise, I can't be more specific. It's just I'm going through the logic of how I would approach it, and hopefully that sort of helps you approach it. Next one comes from Ricardo Nasserate, and it is in response to how to calibrate the screen on the Korg Kronos, a video I did in February 2016. That's an old video, very old video. And Ricardo writes, friend, my Kronos is quite out of calibration. I did the procedure and it didn't solve it. It only responds well when you press the set list. However, it goes to the right. If you press the letter A, it appears the letter S, and it's very difficult to select the smaller fields. Already faced with this type of problem. Thank you. And I wrote back, very interesting. The whole idea of the calibration process on a lot of these keyboards, a lot of these bigger rigs, is to reset how the screen responds. And it's to basically bring it back into whack. So when you hit a specific point on the membrane, because that's effectively what it is, you've got a membrane over the top of the screen, so it knows where you press with the pointer and maps that onto how the screen is being generated. So the recalibration is the idea of that is to sort of bring the whole thing back into whack. It sounds like the information is not being saved when you go through the calibration process, or the screen is sending incorrect position data to the processor. That's kind of where I would be starting with this. And although I don't think that this is the problem, when was the last time you checked the battery? Now, yes, most of the information on the Kronos is stored on the hard drive, but there is still some stuff stored, some setting stuff stored in the computer memory. And there is a battery on the board to keep that stuff live. Although I really don't think that's the problem. So I'm not sure whether a volatile, non-volatile memory situation is going on here. I'm probably angling to an issue with the screen, possibly a connection coming loose or a dry joint stopping signals. Now, they would be easily fixed by basically opening up the machine and making sure all the connections are seated, and using magnifying glass, something like this thing here, to go across the board and just make sure you haven't got any dry joints or something that looks like it's not soldered properly. And this would probably be a good indication that that's where the problem's coming from. If you've got any black areas on the board, that would indicate you've got a heat problem going on, which could be a short. Any sticky liquid on the boards could indicate you've got leaky capacitor, so maybe that might be a problem. You have a split. Basically, if you see that sort of stuff, use IPA to clean it up as quickly as possible, and then obviously desolder and resolder the components. Of course, the screen, or rather the membrane over the screen, could also be a failing point here. And this would require effectively the screen to be replaced, because you can't replace the membrane, it's a complete unit. Has liquid been spilt on it? Have you tried cleaning the screen with a mild glass cleaner, a specialist tablet cleaning solution? Does the screen show any indentations, showing something hard? Now, this is quite important. I said on a video a long time ago that I use, and I haven't got any around me because I haven't got any of those sort of keyboards here, but I use the pens with the rubber tips on them when I'm pressing screens. But a lot of people have used the end of ballpoint pens, and that knackers a touch screen after a while especially if you're pressing the same points all the time. It will kill the touch screen. So if you've been doing that on a touch screen, stop it. Go and buy yourself some of these rubber pointed pens. They're not expensive. You can get them on Amazon for about £10. And I will drop a link down below for those of you that are actually interested. But they will save your screens, Sonic Chronic. I never ever touch any of my screens. I don't even use my fingers now. I just use these pens because they are so, well, they do two things. Number one, I don't get my finger marks all over the screen, which requires them to be cleaned off. And number two, they are more gentle than your finger pressing on the screen, unless you really are hammering it. So the next steps I would take, I'm not sure whether there are low-level settings, the kernel Kronos iOS layers. You might consider doing a factory reset to see if that resets the problem before you have to fork out for a new screen or a tech visit. I suppose not a shining bullet there to fix this, but that's kind of the steps I would go through to try and diagnose where the problem was, and then obviously you have to work out how to fix it. I hope that's helpful.